So, I had to re-record this, but whatever. I don't know if you can tell based on what I've been posting. I have a lot of ADHD. Posting about strawberry shortcake, sad trauma dump video, and then OC lore, and then MLP tutorial. I want to go into detail based on how to draw like body horror, gore, for specifically ponies. I mean, you can technically use it for anything. So this is example 1, example 2, example 3. Here. I also really like this one. I'll show this one as well. This is not My Little Pony, but you know. And before anyone says anything, yes, I know how to draw ponies. Normal, I just choose not to. We have a reference of a pony. It's gonna be Rarity, because I never drew her as infected in my AU because she kind of really fast. Okay, and then we just type in poses, LMLP poses. Here, get your references, and you could tweak the poses in any way you want, whether stylistically or just like the leg differently. So I kind of like these here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna save, and I can tweak it because I don't necessarily like this artistic style, but I can tweak it and make it more of my style. Here, I like this one. We're gonna do this one. And it's important to experiment it with poses, do things differently, don't do the same thing over and over, try new things. I haven't done this pose, I don't think so, I could be lying, don't check me on that one. And then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do to her. So I already have like an idea in my mind. Maybe her head is like turned a certain way or bent all the way back, teeth and all that stuff. So when getting inspiration for body horror, typically you can do video games, movies, or what I like to do, concept art. Infected, or you can do monsters or zombie concept art.
What fucking good are you?
So kind of stuff like this. This is the kind of thing you want to be going for. It's okay to reference things. If you heavily reference something, don't pretend that you made it up.
Crazy! You're fucking crazy! Get out!
Alrighty, now that we have something that we like, I'm not gonna make it exactly like this, I just kind of like the vibe. So we'll save this picture here. Little tiny little guy can go in the corner. If anyone's asking about my brushes, I'm not trying to gatekeep, I just generally don't remember where the fuck I got most of these brushes. I've been collecting brushes for a very long time. Some of them I didn't even look up myself, because fun fact, with an iPad you can actually airdrop brushes to another iPad. So some of those are from there. Okay, so I think I made a video kind of explaining what they look like and the names of them, but you can get a lot of good brushes on Gumroad for free. Like a lot of good brushes, just go and search for them yourself. Most of the basic brushes that come with Procreate are kind of ass, and I don't like any of them. That's why I kind of quit Procreate in the first year I got an iPad. So typically I like to use just a couple layers, and then at the end I like to merge them all together. That's my personal preference. That's what I like to do. It's not how you have to do things. And what I've come to realize when you're doing a sketch, right? I like to use 2 different things for the sketch. So one will be for like the pretty basic sketch, and then like the cleaned up sketch. When you're doing lines, you want to make sure you're doing kind of thinner lines and taking your time doing those motions. Like instead of doing like something like that, which you are allowed to do, so this is a suggestion, not a rule, and go just kind of like quick strokes here. And you could turn it, if it's easier to look at the side, you can turn it around, it's alright. And let's get the body. Usually when I'm drawing ponies, I like to make their chest more pronounced, almost like they're yassified a little bit. Like I like to make their rib cage more pronounced, make them look more like ghoulish, I guess. That's my personal preference, like I said, because everybody's gonna be like, you can't tell people these are rules. It's just how I like to do things. If you want to do it the way I do things, here you go. What I like to do when I'm like erasing, not like erasing, I like to take the airbrush and kind of like lightly get rid of what I don't like to be as prominent, and then just go over it again. Kind of like you're lightly erasing it, like on paper, kind of. I don't like how I did the arms, so what I'm gonna do is do like what I just said, and like lightly get rid of what I don't like, so I can see where it was before, and then I can adjust it. we have most of the sketch down here. And it's not exactly like the original picture. Oh. Let's There's obvious differences between my style and the original reference here. Based on like, I like to extend the limbs more, make them more kind of freaky. It's my personal preference. I already said my idea for making her head like kind of like this. So what I'm gonna do. Ugh. Ugh. Whatever. I feel like this fucking hair, man. Oh, there was. What the fuck? Do this. Her, I feel like her head being like that, and then let's this. And then all the way back. Arm. I'm gonna be lazy and just do one of these bad boys, just like. See how that looks. Oh, wrong layer. So you like that, like the kind of extended neck. What I might do is bring this a little closer and like that. There you go. Chillin'. Next thing is that I like to do like the facial expression next. Kind of do whatever you like, but look how already creepy that looks already. Like, what the fuck is that? I also like to accentuate like the ribs to make them more like sunken in. But that's like what I like to do. So let's get into the face. Depending on what I like to do for like what the vibe is, like it can either be like immense pain or just like passed out or like gurgling, like depending on the vibe. So like let's get this here. And I like to make the eyes pretty big and like far apart. That's what I like to do because it's kind of my thing. So look at that. So we got like a facial expression here going on. If I want to, I can make the pupil smaller so then it looks more like, so I can make it like that. Looks better. Looks cooler. Can't forget like the eyelid, and I love giving them lashes, like giving them little meow, meow, meow. Gotta slay. Alright, so we got that, and now we're gonna see what the mouth is doing. My plan is to have like kind of like a monster kind of coming out here, like there's like teeth coming out from like this section right here. Let's get the mouth going, this part's a little iffy because I'm like, how the hell would that look? Can do like that's alright, and then yeah. And just take your time, and it's okay, like if you don't like this, it's okay to just erase it if you don't like it. That's not a big deal. Or like the way I like to do, where it's like lightly erase and just go over it. There's nothing wrong with starting over. There's nothing wrong with completely there's nothing wrong with completely scrapping something if you don't like it. I do it all the time. There's a few drawings I had to restart because I'm like, ew, what is that? When it comes to drawing animals, I don't know why, but I personally, when I'm drawing the tongue, I like to make it wiggly. Regardless of what the animal is, wiggly tongue. That's what I like to do. And sometimes like the outer mouth, depending on like that wiggly too. Just something I like. You don't have to do that. I just like to do that. The wiggly tongue, like kind of like when you see the outer part of a dog's mouth. Yeah, that looks alright, I guess. And then of course you gotta make like crying, always crying. The tears. And usually I'd like to make the like, or even sweating, like if you want her like, or drooling. I love to do like the drooling. To kind of emphasize. Or you can even do like like foam coming out the mouth, I like to do that too. When I'm drawing like tears or like spit or whatever, you kind of do the method of the bead. Like that's what I like to do. So like it's dark towards right here and then lighter towards the bottom, right? Just like that. And it's gonna be darker towards like here. And then what you do, either take an eraser or white and just go over that part and do bam. Look at that. Bam. Bam. Or I usually do the hair low-key last and like the ears. The ears like I kind of do it like they're a dog, and I like to make their ears like kind of like down like this or like one up. That's what I like to do. Like in the drawing right here, the ears are down. I like this idea of like the stomach and the guts coming out. Sometimes you could do the gore on a separate layer, so like if you don't like how it's coming out, you just get rid of it or start over. So I want it to start like a relative. Oh. I want it to start relatively like right around here, and then it going right there. I think that's good. And then you can kind of do this. So you want to give it some depth, you know what I mean? And you can even like do another thing like the tissue, like that. Oh. So like you can tell there's a hole there. And then I want it to relatively stop like around here. If you want to be more accurate with organs of animals, you can look them up. Different animals and different species have specific like body parts and anatomy inside. Typically I look up like books if I don't want to see guts, but I can handle seeing some real guts, because believe it or not, like guts are a lot more purple and more pinkish color than people think they are. But you can make it whatever color you want. I can make her guts purple if I like bright purple if I wanted to, green if I wanted to. You do whatever you want. They're right here. Get a message. Why? I thought I muted the fucking notifications. Can I like not get notifications from here? I'm gonna have to like mute that. What the fuck? Alright, so we got all the gore figured out. We got the teeth right here. We got a little bit of the ribs popping out. Got the guts here. Do the hair now. So she's laying flat on the ground. This is what we're assuming. I don't think she'd be standing up. She's definitely flat on the ground. I mean, hold on. The line of the ground would be like past her a little bit. So let's do a separate line. Definitely the ground would be like that. I don't think that's straight. Hold on. Baba. Cheat a little bit. No, I did it on the same layer. Now let's do the horn. Make sure there's no tangent lines, because I won't fucking hear the end of it if I have any tangent fucking lines, because God forbid. There's definitely a glow up from the last time I did like an infection AU. Definitely a glow up. So I personally like to just go into like having, what is this? Combining. So just going underneath with the base colors, and then until I'm satisfied with how it looks, I'll merge everything together and just render. That's what I personally like to do. Depending on your art style, you could do something completely different. So I did a little bit of some coloring here, don't be afraid to go with your darks and kind of blend everything out. Like, be patient with your strokes and kind of pick a hue for everything. You can go very, very dark depending on like what the lighting is supposed to be, but for this drawing, there's obviously not gonna be a background or anything like that because it's just, I don't want to. But yeah, just like kind of where the light wouldn't be able to reach it, just try to go as dark as you can, especially if it's like out of sight, like in a place where light wouldn't be touching it. Like, blend it all out. And depending on the floor, sometimes you can have like the floor color reflecting onto them, depending if it's like tile or not, because then the light would be reflecting onto the floor and then reflecting back onto the character, depending, you know. Or you can just highlight them just because it looks cool. You don't need to like explain yourself. Sometimes I do that, like make imaginary light sources that don't exist just because it looks nice. Yeah, so like, and also makes it easier like to kind of show where light is coming from, like with, especially with a character that's already like basically the color white. It kind of emphasizes where the light is coming from top, right? I think now we can get into like the gory part, and then I'm kind of done yapping. I can like just finish this fucking drawing, I guess, but you can do whatever you want. Like something ripped open or some irritation, there should be some redness. Because usually when the skin is red, it's like blood rushing to the surface. So you can either make it pink or red. I usually like to do like reddish pink. And then I take airbrush and just go over right here. And just kind of blend it down. We're in the same layer? Yes, okay. Kind of just kind of look at that, the pops, really nice. Somebody's texting me. It's my boyfriend. Anyways. And then just kind of. I know like teeth can be like yellow or thing. I like to make the teeth like white so then they pop more, or like almost white. Because I don't want them to be too dark. Like, that's just how I like it. You can do whatever, you can do black teeth if you want, but this is how I like to do it, like this. So then they just pop more, look at that, they pop. And then what we can do is kind of, where this part is here, we can make it a little bit, more red, go right here, like that. And this can be like where the internal part is. Like I'll go and like darken something where I want a line to be, so then when I erase it, because I'll like, we don't need all these like lines here, so we can go to like and start erasing things we don't need, like erase that, erase this, erase that, erase this. So then when we merge everything together, it's a lot easier to render. Like personally, like how I like to render. It's already looking nice. Yeah, look at that. I'm so excited. And you can make it darker or lighter depending on like where the light's coming from. Like you can make it like, or just do it because you want to, like to make contrast. Contrast is very important, especially for like storytelling and for composition, to kind of, you know. And since there's this is a fleshy bit here, we can make this part pink too. Obviously, like if it's a real person, it's not gonna, or like a real thing, it's not gonna look like this, but it just It looks cool. I like that, you know. And then the teeth kind of end here because I want this to be like more the ribs. So what I'll do is take a little bit, I'll take it where it's like kind of, and then, oh, and just like, like emphasize those where the ribs would be poking out like that. I think I'm on the right layer. So look at that. Looks nice. Go back into like the shading. Usually I add the blood last just because it's just easier for me. And sometimes I'll just do it to see where I want to put it. And then when I merge everything, I'll fix like the blood. I'm like super gassy. It's already coming together. Look at that. That's so fucking cool. I kind of want to just color the hair just so then the hair doesn't look white because she's fucking. And obviously I'd want the hair to be like darker in certain areas to create more contrast because this is super rendered here, but then the hair down here is like lighter. So you would have to go and darken some areas, especially where the light would not be hitting, so then it looks nicer. The contrast here, usually for intestines, you can kind of go for whatever color. I personally like to make it like purplish pink, like that, and then kind of like a, let's see, can make it look more purpley with veins because sometimes that's where the color comes from. And then just kind of, and you can do multicolor because there's technically the small intestine and then the large intestine, and they're typically kind of like a little bit different in color, not always, depending on the animal. The most fun intestines that I've drawn is probably raccoons. Raccoons have like very distinctive digestive system. It's kind of interesting, at least to me, I don't know. And then like obviously blood would kind of make it stand out here, and then you can like, so here we would kind of make this part, I like to just kind of add the hue, maybe even make it a little bit more purple, and then go down and kind of just start blending all this out where the light would not be touching, or barely, because absence of light is the color black. So, and since this is like kind of like creating a shadow here, we can like kind of make it like that. So then there's the contrast here. Looks quite nice. Go into the mouth a little bit. So we want to make this kind of similar, the colors here to the mouth. We're gonna, just because it looks nice. This is not typically what inside of the mouth would be, or the tongue, but it just looks nice. It's what I like. And what I technically could do, I want to erase all these lines here. What I'm gonna do, I might get rid of like the tongue completely and just do the foam because it looks really cool. And you can do like the other drawing I did here, where you can do a combination of the blood in the foam. That you want to create kind of the shadow. So there's gonna be a little bit of this. I'll just kind of make it a little dark and then do the contrast of where like the foam is coming from. And you can look up pictures of like foam. Foam is like very similar to like soapy, like you can look up animal, like when the animal starts foaming from the mouth, you can look that up too. So it's a lot really white, but when you don't have any contrast in the background, it's hard to emphasize the white. So you have to create kind of dark where there isn't any. I don't know if that makes any sense. So let's make this a little bit more red and then kind of add that color in there. And then what we could probably do is a little bit like a foam coming from the side here, like this, and we can emphasize that with a little bit of shape here. And then we can erase the lines we don't want anymore because they're in the way. Let's get rid of all these lines here. And you can really kind of see like the foam, like it's obviously not like super, but it's like a small detail. Obviously you can make more contrast so the foam does stick out significantly more than what it's doing right now. Kind of create a shadow where the foam would be. kind of just a little bit of contrast, so then it kind of just sticks out a little bit more. And then you can obviously put white like at the very, oh, you can put white at the very top here, so then it kind of looks more like foam. And then we can turn these droplets here, they can be blood. Like that, because that looks nicer. And then what we could do here, we'll erase these lines around the eyes. And then we can make the eyes look like they're like a little teary-eyed here. Look at that. Hooray! And if you want, you can even put blood on the teeth if you want to, like a little, just a little bit, like to, like that, just so like, you know, kind of separates the colors between like the skin and the teeth and all that stuff. Adding a little bit more like whatever here. And if you want, you can do like a, yeah, that's pretty much like the tips and tricks. Just make sure you use references, and firstly when I'm adding blood like at the end, I like to put like maybe a lighter color. Depends, sometimes it won't work. You can do either darken or multiply, or even color burn, but it depends on the colors below. And you can just kind of like layer it on top and just kind of, the best part about this, you can like kind of adjust and change. Since it's on a second layer, if you end up changing certain things, you can just kind of fix it. You see the blood here kind of emphasizes a lot more here. And you can put as much as you want. You can put it all over her if you want, but I think the subtle details look cool. And typically in this process, I'll keep going through everything and then eventually like erase most of the lines and then go into full rendering and merge all those layers together. And then keep the blood separate. I usually keep the blood on top, because then that might change based on what I'm doing here. And that's kind of like my explanation for like this. I don't want to keep yapping forever, but that's pretty much it. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, I do have links in the description for my Instagram, my TikTok, my GoFundMe, and I think Tumblr, but I'm not really posting on Tumblr. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, I'll probably post something again soon.